everybody, and welcome back to Season of the Witch, Episode 3. Today, we are going to be talking about Book of Shadows, or a grimoire, or a black book, or a spell book, or whatever you want to call it. It is essentially a witch's tool to write down spells, rituals, anything that involves their craft. There are a lot of different ways that witches use them, and many different types. I'll explain it, but I'm basically going to be talking about like how I use it personally. So yeah. This is my what I call my junk Book of Shadows. It is essentially the rough draft. So like if you just want to be messy in it and have really messy writing and stuff like that, then this is the place for it. You saw it in my last one because it has the tarot layouts in it. I added this to the cover because I didn't like just the plain brown one. Yeah, that's this one. It's like what I use my good Book of Shadows for, just in messier writing and messier format and stuff like that. And it's nice because I can rip out pages if I make a mistake. This is my good Book of Shadows. It's not updated fully right now, but it has neater writing and it's lined, so it can just be neater and stuff like that. That's why I have two of those. And then this is my witch's journal. I will get into explaining my difference between my witch's journal and my Book of Shadows now. But before then, I'm going to just explain a bit more into what a Book of Shadows, grimoire, black book, spell book, whatever you want to call it, is. So as I said, it is a place to write down anything to do with your practice. Your witchcraft practice, your journey, your path, whatever you want to put into it that involves you and your practice and your path and your journey and whatever goes into one of these. Witches use them in many, many different ways. There is like a difference in between like a grimoire and a Book of Shadows and whatever, but most people use terms interchangeably. Essentially, some witches use it where they put everything in it, where it's spells, rituals, what they did that day, kind of as both the spell book and like a witch's journal. I keep it kind of separate, where I have my witch's journal and my Book of Shadows, and this basically like just has spells, layouts, rituals, definitions all in here, and that's what I put in here. And then this is more of like what I did that day, what I'm learning, what I want to do in the future, stuff like that. So it's more of like a journal, and this is more of like a spell book. That's kind of how I use them, just because I like having them separate. I don't know why I like having them separate, I just do. It's just a lot easier for me to be organized and in control with everything. So yeah, that's kind of the definition of what a Book of Shadows is. As to what you need for a Book of Shadows, it is literally any book or page or a binder or whatever you want that you could write on, and something to write with. It can even be just be on your computer or electronically or on your phone. You don't have to have it in physical form. You can have it on your phone, on a document, on your computer. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It can be any kind of book. If it is physical, it can be lined, unlined. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything special. You don't have to write in with it anything fancy. I just use a pen. So yeah, it's really very versatile in the way that you can use it. I like it just because it's a way to keep everything organized. I'm probably gonna lift this one up a lot because it's the one that I use most often. Yeah, it's just like that. You just use it for your practice, and it's honestly a lot of fun to use. I know that I keep saying that about everything, but there's just something about writing in it and putting your craft into it that just makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It's a very personal thing to a witch or a Wiccan or a pagan or whatever you are. It's very personal, and a lot of people don't like to share it with others just because it's so close to them. I'm kind of okay with showing it. I probably won't like show the inside of my witch's journal because that's more like journal-y kind of stuff where it's like your thoughts and feelings of how the craft is going, how everything's doing, and the outcomes of everything. So that's kind of something that I'm probably not going to share, but with my Book of Shadows, I'm completely okay with it because it's just like spells and rituals and layouts and definitions. I have not put everything in it that I really want to, but yeah. So on the front, I just have a painting of a pentagram or a pentacle, just because that's like one of the most common witches signs. I know that everybody, when they see that, they're like, oh, it's evil, but actually upside down one is evil, and actually the like upright one is actually like good karma, is like good, and is like good for protecting and stuff like that. So yeah, it's the upside down one that you really want to stay clear from. In the inside here, I just have some sigils that I made. I don't think in this series I'm going to be talking about sigils just because I'm really kind of new to them, but I have these ones in here. It's basically for protection and manifesting power and all that kind of good stuff for when I write into my Book of Shadows. For the first good part of my Book of Shadows, I have tarot layouts. A really good part of it at the beginning is tarot layouts. So I have my layouts, and then I think there's a lot. But I have not just tarot layouts. I have spells, I have other things, I have rituals, I have definitions, how to do things. So, for example, here's the first one after all of my tarot spreads, because that much is tarot. There's probably going to be more after this, but I haven't added any more. So this one is a teacup spell for like anti-anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety, so this is like one of the first things that I looked up and what I need. And I just kind of do it where it's like, what's the timing, what's the tools that I need, and then the directions and that kind of stuff. And then I also have not only just like spells, but I have some chants, chant for ending pain and grief, and kind of the directions of what you need to do for that kind of stuff, and healing chant. I have truth spell, trust spell, blessing an object. That's something that I wrote down to bless an object. It really, how you bless an object is really up to you. This is just like a simple one that I found just on the internet with other people. I kind of do it in a different way. I'll just show you just because I'm not going to do a video on it. But take this candle. I got this at a thrift store, so you don't really know the energy that you have that's attached to it. So what you want to do is either want to bless, basically clean off, enchant, or whatever, or cleanse, or whatever you want to talk about it. Like definition is what I do is that on the base, because this is specifically talking about candles, but on the base I put a little bit of lavender oil just because that's like the oil that I use in a lot of things, just because it's something that I use very often, so it's kind of an oil that I just have abundance of and that I really like. And then I put it on the base of it, and then I just go over this a few times and then let it dry and melt, and I do that. The oil kind of goes on a few times, and then each time I put the oil on, I go again like that with my lighter, and this kind of gets rid of any of the energy that's attached to it. And yeah, so what happens actually with the oil is the oil gets trapped underneath the wax, so the wax comes up from the oil, so the oil is actually trapped into the candle. And that's kind of what I like about that, is that it's actually like into the candle now. And I do it on the base just because on the top it's like you can light the wick, and yeah. Doing other things, for example, this necklace, I got it at a thrift store again, so I wanted it to be cleansed, so I just put it over one of my spell candles and just put it through a bit of the flame, and that's kind of how I cleanse stuff. Again, I could use the lavender oil, but I am very kind of like not picky with how I cleanse stuff. It's either lavender oil, a flame, or a combination of both. I just like doing both for candles just because I'm probably going to be using them from spell work. But if it's just like simple things that I'm not really going to use, it's kind of like just the flame or just the lavender oil that I use. So that's like a brief definition of what you can like put into your Book of Shadows. You can put anything, really anything, honestly. Like you can put what day you started a candle spell, what day you started sigils, what sigils you wrote down that day, blessing your home, literally you can put anything into it. Petitions, I've recently gone into petitions, money jars. It's just anything to do with your craft that you want to write down and remember, you put in one of these. That is what you do. It's like a very, very basic tool that like everybody needs. And again, it doesn't have to be anything special. It can literally be a note on your phone. Like that's all it has to be, or a Word document on your computer, or just a really tiny, you know, like something like this. You can take like a notebook. This is tracking IDs for my store, but you can take a notebook like this and just use that. You know, it doesn't have to be something super fancy or super special. It can be really anything. Yeah, that's all you really have to do for a Book of Shadows. Again, you can bless your book. For mine, I've had these books for quite a while, so it's kind of like through my energy and through what I've used them for, they're kind of already blessed. So like before I started them, I didn't really bless them. With this, because this is going to be like my junk Book of Shadows, so I bring it around everywhere, I did put the sigils in it, and I put lavender oil on the front in here. Yeah, so that's what I did with those. Again, it's really up to you of what you want to do. This is a shorter video since my last two have been like 40 minutes long, but Book of Shadows are super, super simple. You don't need any kind of setup. I know that some witches actually have it like in their planner or in their bullet journal or in the regular journal, or again, use it however you want. It's so easy to just get one. Just get a notebook or a document on your computer and just write down everything that you want to know about the craft. That's it. Really. It can be any combination of anything. It really doesn't have to be fancy or like super pretty. For example, I'm kind of extra, that's why I have my good looking one. But I like just bringing this around with me and seeing what works. You could literally use a binder and just put pages in it, and yeah, it's super simple, super easy. It's like easy to explain but kind of hard to explain because it's so personal and so like custom to everybody that everybody has a different way of doing it. Like some people, if they're watching this and they practice witchcraft and they're gonna be like, I do it a completely other different way. that's them. I'm like not telling you how to do it. I'm telling you basically what it is and what the basics are. It is very like one of the first tools you want to have for witchcraft because it is just so basic. Yeah, it's very basic. It really is like literally the first tool that you want just because it's everything that you put into it for your craft. So it's everything. This is like other than you, this is kind of like keeping your craft inside of it. That's what it is. So it's very personal, very custom. Again, you don't have to share it with everybody. You don't have to share it with anybody. You can be like, hid it in like a drawer so that nobody sees it. I keep my journal in my Book of Shadows either beside me here or in my bedside table in a drawer there beside my bed, and this I keep on my altar. So yeah, that's essentially what a Book of Shadows is. Again, it doesn't have to be anything special or anything super crazy. You can do whatever you want with it. You can draw on it. It can be lined, unlined, grid, dot. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of paper or page or pen you use. It can be anything. It can be messy, neat, whatever. It's so custom and so personal. And I kind of really like about it is that there's no rules for it. There's no right or wrong way. Again, it's like anything with witchcraft is that everything is personal and there's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you want to do. So yeah, that's a Book of Shadows. I'm just gonna check what I'm doing next week. Next week, we are talking about choosing your path in witchcraft, which, as I said in the first video, many witches follow either like a specific path that they want to take because they're interested in. It could be eclectic witch, which means that you kind of like want to do everything. A green witch, which means you work with nature. A kitchen witch, which means you work in the kitchen. Again, there's like so many paths, and it's very, very custom and tailored to you. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. I hope you guys have a great day and stay witchy. Bye guys.